Going live. Good morning, and welcome back to another episode of the Talk to Tanner Motoring Show, where we go over tips, tricks, ideas, and exercises to help make you, the real estate agent or the real estate investor, achieve their number one goal: to help better support the people they love and care about most, to feel happier about who you are and what you're doing, and to enjoy the journey, right? There's no point in being miserable. There's usually only one person who suffers from that. Moi. Well, this morning is, as we're all happy-go-lucky, and we're going to try and do an exercise to make us feel good, feel better about the day that we're doing. We're going to talk about how it's actually a little counterintuitive in a lot of ways from the real estate agent mindset, or just something I guess you could use as an education tool for yourself or for your clients. Either way, today we're going to talk about how I never buy a house for more than $300K. I would never buy a house for more than $300K. Does that mean that there's houses that are worth more than $300,000? You bet your sweet ass. There are properties that are on the ocean. There are properties on lakes. There are properties in national parks. And the amount that it costs to build these type of mega mansions, these beautiful, beautiful homes, the cost, I think, is a bit too much for this. Is taking the stance of a personal satisfaction, and additionally thinking that we can make money off of it as an investment. So kind of these two ways. So let's go ahead and explain kind of the theory behind this. Once you get a certain, here in America, anyway, I can't speak for across the world, but here in America, once you get a type of property and it has a certain ability, it has a certain function, it has a certain use, it becomes just a house. So we have a beautiful home, not worth $300K. It's with the rooms being cozy, with the stuff that we have here. We have almost an acre of land. We have a hot tub. We have, a great shower, bathroom, multiple bedrooms, guest bedrooms, and all this stuff, fireplace. Once you get to a certain point, I can't help but believe there's a threshold of happiness to where it really isn't doing anything for you at that point. And all that it is doing would be bringing a higher bill and a higher burden to what it is that your goal is. For example, my goal is to be financially free. We're pretty much there with the rental properties between me and my girlfriend, but we got a long way to go in kind of the type of lifestyle that we want, because we want to spend a lot more money on traveling versus just straight up housing. And you can argue like, oh, Tanner, I don't like to travel, so I spend a little more money on my house. That's fine. This episode is to make us aware of the costs with a house and how single family homes are not assets that you live in and no one's paying you money. If you're paying all the bills for this house, it is a liability for you. We just want to have that kind of straight and clear. So we're under the premise of houses being not an asset, and under the premise that once you achieve a certain thing or anything that is external, cars, like other situations, other toys, houses, like all of these material things such as clothes. So under the recognition that all of this stuff doesn't actually bring you happiness, it becomes cars. One of my mentors in Chicago, oddly enough, his name was Rich, and he was very much that. He is rich as fuck. And one of his, he had bought a brand new Porsche, and he let me drive it, this and that. And after 2 weeks, he was telling me, he's like, Tanner, I would really highly recommend that you don't buy one of these cars when you become wealthy like this one day. And first off, I was excited that he had gave me that compliment saying that, but also just the oil change. I went to take this sucker in for an oil change, and this is like a really, really, really nice Porsche, and 911 SR RS. I'm not very good with cars, but it was an absolute machine. Small little car, but the oil change, my point is, was like $800. I'm not even joking, like $800 for this car. And this doesn't change. The car analogy usually sits with people a little bit better, but this is how it's like with houses too. So, for example, you get in your house that spent over 300K. If you ding anything, if you have to replace anything, it costs a crap load of money. Such as a big example I've seen with some of my clients, they have like these little nicks and stuff like that over time because houses break and people are crazy. 2 golden rules in real estate: houses break and people are fucking crazy. And we know this. And in the special tile floor throughout the basement, special tile floor throughout the kitchen, special little designs in the shower, or little trinkets or gargoyles or yard ornaments or whatever it is that makes 300K houses 300K houses, aside from the fact of location. All that extra stuff tends to break, and maintenance and costs, and we have to pay for it. Us, as the consumer, the person living there, has to pay for it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and kind of just give a breakdown on how much it'll cost a lot of us to have one of these types of properties. So Instagram, you won't be able to see my screen, but I'll go ahead and yell out a lot of the numbers so you guys will be right there along with us. Okay, let's go ahead and present, share screen. Second screen. Cool. Okay. This is a rental property calculator. This one, I use this. This one's not the one I use for my partner has us use this particular one, but I use this one for confidentiality standpoint, or looking at our properties. I use this one instead. So this one is free, or if you want to use mine, you can send me a direct message and we can set up a meeting and then I can give you one that way. But for now, we're just going to run with this one. Instagram, this is a rental property calculator online. This is calculator.net, and then you'll just get an option for rental property calculator. It's free. It's easy. Type in rental calculator on Google. It'd be the first one you click on. Easy enough. Easy peasy. All right, cool. All right, now that we're all caught up, let's go ahead and type in 300K for this property. And we would have to use a loan. I don't know anyone who buys single family homes that they live in without anyone who buys single family homes all cash and then lives in them. The only time I see people paying full cash is for investments. In my personal experience, maybe you have a buttload of money and you just buy single families with cash, but most of these houses, off of the statistics through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, who buy back all of the loans that you get for your houses. That's what allows banks to give the rates that they do. What should I put for an interest rate? You would preferably, with the interest rate thing. Okay, let's just go over this real quickly. Hear me out. Interest rates, when they go up, the goal is you're going to pay more money in interest to a literal bank. You're going to pay more money. So I'm about to type in like 8% into this interest rate calculator. Most of us in the last 2-3 years that have bought single family homes are sitting around 1 or 2%. So a lot lower, like literally a factor of 4. So your payment and your interest is going to go down 4. But the goal is like when it's a higher interest rate, you would save a bunch of money that you would be paying in interest on the price. So when interest rates go up, you got to be able to pull back on price so you can adjust for those savings. Or vice versa. People are like, oh, I got such a low interest rate. And then I paid $300,000 for like a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom and like an okay area, and the house is kind of outdated. So you either pay a huge amount on a loan, or you can pay a lot in interest. And what would be a counter argument to that would be, oh, well, you're paying the loan down for yourself, but appreciation and increased equity over time, that goes into your pocket. If you want to get more of a breakdown on that and you want to talk to me one-on-one, please don't hesitate to click the link below because that can kind of get a little confusing. But essentially, high interest rates, you want to make a lower offer on the house overall. Low interest rates, it's usually a lot more competitive, so you're gonna have to pay a higher price for a property. Moving on, 8% for an interest rate loan term, 30 years, closing costs. Needs repairs? Of course it needs repairs. We got to get the new cabinets. So this is when the money starts to really rack up. So in the calculator, you're putting like, say, $5,000 because we need to put in new tile flooring and a couple windows upstairs or something like that. And say the value after repairs, we'll say you did a good job on it, and now your house is worth $315,000. So property taxes, depending on the state that you're in, is so like in Illinois, dude, you're going to be getting hit hard. You're going to be getting hit like around $9,000 a year, eight, nine, more like $7,000, depending on where you're at. Yeah, probably like $7,000, and just in taxes, insurance, say like 1,000 roughly. Maintenance, say around budget $100 a month for that, just for tricky things. Say if you bought this thing pretty new. Other costs could be, we don't need to put anything like that down. We don't have an HOA or anything like that. And the monthly rent, we're not making any money on it because we live in this. The vacancy rate doesn't matter because the income's zero. Value appreciation around 3% per year. Cost to sell 8%. Calculate. Holding length, the average time, and this is a huge part of it. The holding length is how long. So I buy this house in 2020 and then I sell it in 2025. So my holding length would be 5 years. Most people don't hold on to a single family home for more than like 4 or 5 years. The families grow. They want to move to a new location, new job. So we're going to say holding length 5 years. Let's go ahead and calculate this. Please provide other costs. You got to have at least a zero in there. Okay. So monthly, it would cost you to have this type of property, and that makes sense around that 1% rule. It costs you about $3,000 to have this type of house. It can cost you up to $3,000 to have this type of house. When interest rates are high, so if you're thinking about buying a nicer single family home today, I probably wouldn't do it. And I coach real estate agents on how to achieve their number one goal. So I'm sorry if it kind of comes off if I'm sounding negative, because people are going to move anyway, and there's going to be ways that we can lay this out. I just want people to understand like how much money is kind of going out the door in a lot of cases, especially if you were to get a loan right now. So for example, just on a $300K house, which with such low inventory and how many people want to buy real estate, dude, it's like housing prices are only going to go up and things are only going to get more expensive. I mean, you've been to a grocery store lately, loaves of bread are $10 friggin' dollars. So these, but this monthly for this property, for example, it's almost minus $3,000. So putting repairs on, paying for the taxes, paying for the insurance, not collecting any income on it, you can expect to pay anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 a month, meaning that you're paying anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 a year out of your pocket to have this house. Now you're saying, well, I could go and I could pay that in rent, or I could, and that's usually what happens a lot of times is when interest rates go up, people tend to rent more to try and save the difference so they don't have to pay for something like this. Everyone needs a home, but I'm always trying to get people to consider the wealthy mindset. It doesn't matter how much money you make. If you spend less money than what you make, you're wealthy to a degree. But if you feel like you need these houses, you need these cars, you need these clothes, you need everything outside, you're going to always be chasing something. And I want people to maybe take the mindset and the philosophy, especially if you're first starting out and you're trying to buy real estate and you're trying to buy investment real estate to become financially free, which I think is a great idea. Well, in order to do this, you need to have a low debt to income ratio. You need to be able to work with banks. You need to be able to save money. You need to be able to put down payments. You need to be able to do a lot of these things. So if you get hammered, if you're getting hammered like 2 to 3 grand a month just on your single family residence, and this is before your car, your food, your clothes, your kids, and school, all that bullshit, chances are it's no wonder why people can never get going to buying real estate and to making it work. They're like, how do you even make the numbers work? It's, well, if you're a house built on sand will not stand. And yeah, I guess if you could use that analogy in order to kind of flip it around to getting started investing in real estate, I'd be really careful buying a big single family home or something really nice out in the suburbs and this and that, especially if you're not going to hold this sucker for like 7 to 10 years. If you don't plan on owning your home for like a decade, I wouldn't buy it at all. The market cycles are too long. It's too hard to time. You don't get enough time to actually pay it down. And always remember the key #1 rule with assets and liabilities. Assets. Other people pay you to pay your bills. Liabilities, you pay the bills. So yes, it is okay to have a comfortable home. Just understand that buying a single family home is a liability. And this is why I don't have a personal residence under my own name. Thankfully, my girlfriend owns the badass, beautiful house that we live in. And but it's not too much. You know what I mean? The expenses aren't totally crazy, but it's like definitely enough land, enough house, and nice like middle ground, to be very comfortable. I'm all about having your space and being comfortable, but there comes a point to where you need to draw a line in the sand. It's like, wow, I'm having a really hard time investing any money after I pay for all my kids' shit, and then I got to pay 3 grand just to keep this house going. So, see what I'm saying? Understand your goals, but these are reasons why I would never buy a house for more than 300K if I wasn't going to make any income on it. I'm more than okay with buying a house over $300,000 if it's going to make money on it. For example, I want to buy a second home. So you can you can have your primary home, and then you can buy a second home, and then you only have to live there 2 weeks out of the year. And then I could Airbnb it out the rest of the time. Talk to your loan officers. Different banks have different rules on this kind of stuff, but that's what we plan on doing, is getting another single family home in another state, preferably Colorado. Hint, hint, but where my brother's at. But it's the trick will be, since the prices like this are so high, the taxes are high, the insurance is high, it's all high, then we're gonna need to be able to generate enough income to make that work. So okay, get your gears grinding, figuring out what it is that you would want to do. Is it worth it to buy a big house? Does that make sense for you? Are you more on the investment side of things, or are you willing to cut back on other things like traveling, clothes, cars, and stuff to have your single family house and still reach your goals? It's all a balance, give and take. And if you would love to work with a coach to help support you towards getting your goals, getting your housing goals, getting your rental property goals, reaching your health, just becoming the best version of you, if you need guidance and support, please don't hesitate to click the link or share this content with people who you think could benefit. Joining us every day, talking about real estate, talking about investing in ourselves, making our lives better, enriching our relationships, all that good stuff. This is the Talk to Tanner Morning Show. Thank you guys so much. These again are the reasons why I would never buy a house over 300K, but I'll leave it up to you. Cheers, friends. I'm rolling out. Everyone having a fantastic, amazing, fun-filled Friday. And I'll be seeing you guys back here bright and early, Monday morning, 7 a.m. live. Check it out. Have a great one, everyone. Like, comment, share. Really appreciate it. Until next time. I'm out. There's my mouse. Have a good